All right, I think we're doing it. Cool. We got the Twitter post out. Check. We're live. Check. Got the light on. Check. All right. Cool. All right. So we're back at it again. We're doing some more portfolio work. So the last stream that we did, we were doing some chapter openers for my portfolio book, and so now, I mean, like, I'm kind of following this pattern, right, where I'm going back and forth between doing the layout for the book itself and then doing some actual, like I guess you can kind of call it like content creation, I guess, where I'm actually like putting together mock-ups and photography and things like that to actually put into this book later on, and also throughout the process as well. So the two kind of different sides of this whole portfolio thing, right? I'm doing half creating the book and like the layout that goes along with the book, and then half creating the stuff that's going to go into the book. So what we're doing tonight is we're going to create some Photoshop mock-ups for a book that I did. I have been working on one book. It was that Perception Deception sort of like psychology book that I was working on the last few streams. But now I'm working on a different one. I'm going to be doing a cookbook that I designed a while ago. So completely different sort of style. This is kind of where you just get to see the sort of the range of like graphic design styles that I've been doing while at my school. So pretty cool. I'm gonna just take a leap and say for most people this is not gonna be their style. It's a very sort of like grandma sort of style. Here, you'll see what I'm showing. I forgot to do one thing before I started the stream, but I think it's not gonna be too big of an issue. This process is here. I'll show you the screen here. The process is here. I got my Photoshop mock-up here. This is from the other book that we were working on, and so I'm going to go through and then do this for the other book. But the process is I bring a PDF into the Smart layer, and then I save it, and then I use that for the design, right? But I forgot that my PDF was set up to be printed. Actually, let's see. I'm looking through. This is Oh, you know what? Never mind. We're not gonna have an issue. I forgot that I did this perfect binding. So this is the book here, right? So this is a very sort of like traditional sans serif sort of old style look and feel, which can still be very beautiful if done well, and I hope that I've achieved that through this design, but completely different from what most people kind of use in contemporary design. But this is still definitely a style that's definitely sought after by some people. And then just mastering the style sort of shows your typographic ability, knowing things to do, small things like knowing how to use small caps and using old style figures, which is how the numbers look. The numbers look different if you use them the right way. So I thought I had set this up like saddle stitch, where like this would have been like the last page, and then this would be the first page, and then this would be the second to last page, and this would be the second page, and then when you work your way into the middle, that's when you would get like the centerfold where it's the same, but it's always offset. But I did this perfect bound, so it's gonna be all right. All right, so that's cool. We got that in place. But what we need to do now is sort of set up our file here, so that way it's ready for us to bring in the new files. So I think some of the things that we're gonna have to do are just delete sort of this design that we had on the end pages, or like the ends here. And let me just make sure this file size is smaller. So this file size is still huge. I do not need it to be this big. Inches. Alright, so width. I do not need the width to be that big. Or do I? You know what? We'll see how far we get. I'm worried that because I might use this full spread, and if I use this for the full spread, my book is going to be 8 by 16, right? That's the size of my book. That's the size of the spreads, rather. My book is 8 by 10. But the two pages next to each other would be 8 by 16 total. But if I were to do like a full spread of a spread, I mean, that's funny. Like, I did this for another project just this past week, and like I would set up like just kind of how I have this framed right here, right? I got this page, and I got some sort of, it's gray, but it would be considered sort of white space around the book. But I have a spread within a spread of a book, right? So I got this picture of a book within my actual books, and I had a double gutter, and that's actually how you're supposed to lay it out. So that way you don't have a double gutter, meaning that when I put this in my book, the middle of this book here would be in the middle of my book. And hopefully you guys are following along with this bookception that we got going on. But that's that way when you actually open and close the book, it's actually like you're opening and closing that book. Some people like try to offset it and then have the gutter go here. So like if you can see my marquee here, this would be like the page, and then the gutter of that page would be like right here, so then you would get that weird awkward fold. That's not something you want to do. Anywho, we'll see how well Photoshop likes this. You know, if Photoshop's gonna be a big pain, then we'll reduce the file size a little bit. But I'm hopeful that it'll be it'll be okay. And there's a delay of me just trying to rename a group, hopefully that's not a huge a warning sign. I don't know why I need to have this separate group. I don't know what the point of having this was. Template. Okay. Actually, first and foremost, what I want to do is I want to try and get the white balance here to match the white balance of a photograph that I took. So I actually took a photo. This is a photo of the actual book. And then so I have the white balance here. I made it a little bit warm, and that's because this was actually printed on it was printed on a natural white paper, which is a little bit creamier, a little bit warmer than regular bleached white paper. So a natural white is actually very, I don't know how well it shows up on your screen, but I've got the Apple screen, and this is actually very close to how it looks in real life. This sort of creamy, a little bit warm color. So I wanted to have that portray through my photo, and my softbox lights are very cool, so I forgot to do that, and my instructor caught that, and thank you for pointing that out. But I also want to bring in the same gray background into here, so that way the gray is consistent. So I got that gray there. We'll see if this works. And I also want to save just like a screenshot of this. So that way, and also I'll bring in these layers here and see if that does anything. I have to bring those on top of our design though for it to work. So I'm going to put those there, and we'll see what happens. But I do want to bring in a screenshot of this, so that way I can have that. Be consistent, right? Because I don't know what it's hard to keep the colors consistent when it's two separate files. So we will see. We'll bring this smaller. We just need that to be like 1,000. And let's see. We'll save this just to our desktop here, and then hopefully that should be good. And then we'll do some tweaking here. I don't think, like on this one here, I don't have so much like of a grain in the background as I do just sort of like this background texture. So I think I'll reduce the grain a little bit, because I had a lot of grain in this photo for some reason. So where's that grain? Or if anything, it was just finer. We'll try 5%. Alright, so we gotta find this screenshot. There we go. We'll drop that guy in. And as people kind of just come into the chat, feel free to say hi. I know we got a couple people in already. Or at least we got one in. I don't know, should I refresh? I can never tell because sometimes I'll have someone and the numbers don't seem kind of consistent because like on Twitch, right, I can actually see, or at least I think I'm using this tool right. I can click and I can see who's actually viewing. And sometimes it'll say there's more people in there than like that little red number shows, so I don't know. I don't know how that works. So, alright, so we're getting a little bit different color than what I was thinking that we would be getting. So we'll just do some color matching here really quick. I think what I need to do is I need to add a black layer and then just sort of reduce the opacity until we get a similar color. Oh, that's actually really similar. Right, so or I mean, like, even the easiest way to do this is just to actually, I don't know. I think so. Is that 15 or like 13 would be better, maybe? It doesn't have to be like super consistent because they're not going to be like on the same spread, but like flipping back and forth, you want them to look kind of similar. Uh-oh. What happened to you guys? There you go. I think that's cool for now. I don't want to be too finicky on that for now. I think that's a little bit different too because there is some shading in the background. Or I mean in that photo, I mean. So there's that. Alright, cool. And then the other thing I wanted to get was the white balance. So this is the white balance of the page. How much different is that from the mock-up? It's pretty different, and I'm not sure how to get that to be like 100% perfect. I think if I were to do this, make a mask. And can I do this with, what would be the easiest way to do this? Maybe levels?
Yeah.
No, that's not it. What is that? Does that make sense though, making that white? No? Has anybody got an easy way to have the whites match? I don't think auto's gonna do anything for us either, no. Alright, so let's just think, what do I need? I want to bring the reds up a little bit. So this is, I think, shadows, midtones, then highlights. I might be using levels wrong. So highlights we want to bring down. I think it's just going to be a sort of like a balancing act. I don't know if levels is gonna be the tool that we need. I'm tempted just to do like a solid color. Nope, that's not the one. Oh no, that is what we want. Okay. So we don't really want that as color, but what do we want that as? Why don't we start by just bringing in that same spread, and then we'll kind of see what happens from there. Other pages, though, we can delete these guys here. That's the main thing that I wanted to do. Okay, we got that. Alright, so we'll bring in that same spread. This is going to be the left-hand page, and I'm hoping that this is not the smart layers. Okay, hold on one second. I thought this was the layer with the smart layers. Oh my goodness. Can I just convert it back to a smart layer? Convert to smart objects. Okay, hold on. I gotta go back into the file. I'll open up the template that we were using last stream. This is a catchy song. You know, that's the thing. I'm using a pretzel player for my music, and I've liked every single song that I've gotten from this. It's like every single song is my jam. So I think these are still smart layers here. If I double click on that, it opens up a file, right? There we go. Okay, so I needed that first layer. I brought in the layer that I already rasterized, or the group that I already rasterized by accident. This should be an easy fix. I'll rename that template again. I wonder if it makes sense to add like some sort of a vignette to this whole thing. Oop. Oh, that's the wrong direction, isn't it? Yep. I was thinking that might work. That wasn't. It wasn't working as good as I thought it would. I think this is gonna be fine. I don't know. It's bothering me so much that it's so close, but it's just not there. Yeah, I think that's as close as we're gonna get. I think that's pretty darn close, too. Alright, I'm happy with it. So, okay, so now, going back to what we were gonna do. Let's delete these guys here again. And we'll go in and drop our... Let's save it real quick, though. We always got to save. If we don't save now, then we might forget later, and we're going to screw up the whole thing. Oh, and we also need to do this. Hold on. I forgot to do that. We gotta move our layer here again because we moved it once. Okie doke. Can I edit this layer at all? I feel like this side is way blown out. All right. I'm going to keep it there. Whoa, what happened there? That's definitely not what it needs to be. Okay, cancel. Cancel now. You know what the easiest thing to do is? I don't know why I'm just not doing this now, but we're just going to delete that guy. Well, there we go. Look, we got our book now. Cool. All right. Now let's get to what we've been trying to do for like the last half an hour. Oh my goodness. You can see how, like, look, I've been streaming for 30 minutes already, and this is how far we've gotten. It just shows how long it takes to do stuff like this. Portfolio. All right, here we got our so we're still gonna just try and get that white balance to be right, but we're just gonna drop in the first spread. Ooh, okay, so this one's here is kind of a hard one. So let's delete all this stuff here first. We're gonna have to do this. So just to get the arrangement right, when there is no white background on something, the PDF doesn't bring in a white background. What the heck? So we will do this here, and then we'll line up the PDF, because the PDF isn't going to get pixelated. And luckily this book is the exact same dimension, so I'm not going to have to do a whole bunch of finicking around. You might be wondering why this is not 100% centered, and that was just because that's how my grid was. My grid actually had and then this is all like just part of the style, right? This style always had a large outside margin, so that way when you hold your book, there's room for your thumb. And then also that also provides some space, and you'll see in the other spreads, it provides space to put captions. Because captions aren't going to be there all the time, so it's okay if your thumb touches a caption every once in a while. But the idea was, I mean, this also dates back to like illuminated manuscripts, which is you wanted room for the reader's hands to go. So I think that was like a small little detail, and there's like a typography book that talks about that as well. I think the guy's name is Edward Tufte. Or maybe that's somebody else. No, that's the guy that did the infographic book. Color page. Oh, okay, so this is where we can bring in the page color. We'll test this out here. What would be a good page color? Here, let's bring in that screenshot. Let's say we do the brightest point on this page. I think it would be like actually right here. So maybe right there. And then where we do page color, we'll see the difference. So let's try that out. We do that. That's the photo. Is that going to be somewhat close to what we need? You know, I say that is kind of close. And I think I might even want to take it like the next step for. Oh my goodness! Hopefully that wasn't loud or anything. I really need a shock mount for this thing. We can even take it a step further, and I think it might be a good idea to add like the paper texture to this. Just because, I mean, this project again was printed on like, it was like printed on like a thicker, sort of like very high quality fine art paper. So if we go to Google Images, I mean, we don't need to like search for anything fancy. We can just find like matte paper texture. No, why is everything crinkled? I don't want to download anything. This, no. This is, I guess, kind of what I want. That's still, I mean, we'll just reduce the opacity of it, right? It's still very grainy, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Did that even do anything? I guess it did, huh? See how big of a difference it actually makes in the mock-up. Did it even update? Did it even update? Okay. I think we need to add a lot more contrast to this. And then we'll do the soft light. Maybe again. Maybe multiply is what we need to do. Multiply and have the opacity down to like 20%. I also want to see like how big of a difference it does to the color. Okay. That's kind of cool. That's kind of the look I was going for. It does make the page look kind of dark though, doesn't it? But then when we come here, does this affect everything but the page? It does. What happens when I disable that? I think we'll need to give this its own brightness and layer. Let's see. BG. Not that I'm going to be able to even see that. Did I even reverse that? No, click the mask and then reverse. Or inverse, whatever. And then we'll publish, or we'll play with this guy here. I think that's looking pretty good. We did a good job with that. Alright, cool. Now we'll go through and just do that for the other pages, and then bada bing, bada boom, 60 pages done, and then we're and then we're done for the night. And I said this in the last stream too. It's like it's always getting this set up so that way you get the same sort of style that you want, and you get everything perfect. And then it gets very repetitive quick. So if you thought this was boring, this was the interesting stuff. Actually, it will get interesting as we go through, and I think at the end we'll do. I'd mentioned this in my last stream, which is going through and adding these, like, you can see the end page here, right? The end page is blue. There's another page here that's yellow, and another yellow page, and then you can see there's like a lighter blue there. But on the mock-up, it's just all white. So I want to go through and I want to add those. It was like a mixture of minute and details. I want to add those details into it. Okay, so we'll get rid of that guy for now, and then we'll just follow the same sort of pattern for the other pages, and then we will be golden. So we'll drag these things in here, drag this to the other page. And we actually need to drag this window here again. Oh, I should have moved it first. I got my my Black Widow keyboard on here, so I don't have the or like the Razer Chroma keyboard, right? And I don't have the that one button that like collects all the windows. Alright, so we'll save this guy here. And we don't need this in a separate window anymore. Let's keep this mentally okay. We got this one on the left, and then this one on the right. Alright, cool. And then I'll get back here. You know, I know we worked so hard to get this background just right, but I'm questioning if this is even the right color background for this book. I wanted it to be like more of a gray. Without it being like too boring. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We spent a lot of time on the background anyways, and then that's something, like I said, that's something we can just change like that later on. So, alright. So we got our template. We're good. Let's hide all these things in the group because it's getting kind of cluttered. I just named something like that. Overlays. And then all this stuff here we can just drop into the background layer. We got it all written out nice. We'll just keep it consistent. There we go. Keeping our files looking nice. I always like to keep my stuff organized. A, because it helps me keep organized. B, I'm like super OCD like that. And C, if I ever share this file with somebody, I want them to be able to know where to find things. So this is how I've been doing this. So I'm going to I kept my template file, right? I'm going to duplicate this. I'm just going to take my template file and lock it. So that way I keep the smart layers there. Because I've made that mistake before, is I've accidentally deleted the smart layers. Then I'm also just going to make a copy of this again. This one here. So that first one we're going to call copyright and dedication. And then not the whole thing, but we're just going to rasterize these layers here. There's two smart layers with the left and right pages. We're just going to rasterize those. And we're going to keep everything else the same. Alright, so now that's there. We're good. So now for the next page here, we got... Let's see, what spreads do we need? We will call this, I think it's the title page? Oh no, it's the table of contents. Where's the title page? Did I not have a title? No, I do have a title page. Where did it go? Hold on real quick. Cookbook final backup. Cookbook final backup. Final. Okay, which file was it? Can I do that? No. So when was that? Lost Modified December 10th, 2016. 12/27. December 9th. So we're going to go for this one here. I think I am going to end up having to re-save this out. Just to kind of keep things in order, you know? Alright, come on, InDesign, you can do it. No, I'm going to take a water break while InDesign's doing its thing. This is actually a really big file, so I'm really hoping that none of the images lost its link. That would suck. That would be like a huge process to redo that. If that is the case, then I'm just gonna have to recreate the... Or, I mean, my title page doesn't have any images on it, so I could just save that spread separately, and then drag it in. That could work, because I don't think that the other spreads change too much. Okay, InDesign, come on. What's the ish? How big of a file is this? Come on. Get info is now you can open it up. It's only a 16 meg file. If it was a package folder, the package folder would be huge because I have like 30 different like high quality images in it. Alright, for everyone joining in, sorry, we're not just sitting looking at a gray screen. We're doing some stuff, but we're having the battle of our lives against a slow computer. InDesign is not liking us for some reason right now. Photoshop's been doing pretty good. InDesign normally I don't have issues with. Oddly enough, I was having some issues with Acrobat. I was just trying to print some stuff the other day, and what? Here we go. Are the links broken? Any missing links? Uh-oh. Nope. Yep. I knew it. We're not going to update links at this time. So we're just going to have to do that first page. When you export something without the missing links, or with the missing links. I think you either just get like a super pixelated version of it, or you might get like or just a white page. I forget. You kind of get to see what my my Illustrator file looks like. Oh, and I'll show you what the grid looks like too. Or not Illustrator, InDesign. I'm sorry. Okay. Hold on, I got some messages going on over here. So I don't know if we're gonna get to the whole book tonight or not. Like I said, I tried to do this on another stream with the other book, and it just gets to be kind of very repetitive. I think I made it through like 10 spreads, and then I just kind of called it good. But I just like to kind of stream this to show the whole process. I thought this would be good because I did a lot of the pre-work stuff before on the other stream, so you kind of missed out on some of that. Alright, so I think it was just this first spread here that we were missing stuff on. Oh, and then was the colophon on the other one? This one here. Yeah, we got it. Okay, so I think we're just gonna have to redo this one. Oh. So what is this? This is spread. Oh, and I want to redo this one too. Or did I keep this like this for a reason? Part of me wants to say I kept it like this for a reason, but I realized it when I printed it that I didn't like it. So this is kind of what my grid looks like, in case you were kind of wondering. No. Would you just select the text? Holy cow. You know, it's only when I stream that the computer doesn't like me. You know what, it is harder to read it like that. The thing I ended up keeping it like that for a reason. So I was using old style figures for all the numbers throughout the book. But on the index page, I decided to keep the lining figures, which is the taller numbers, just because it was a little easier to read. The reason why you do old style figures in a paragraph is just because it's easier to read the number, and it's easier on the eyes when it's within a paragraph, because it kind of sits at the same height as the numbers, or as the letters of the page. But in an index, you kind of want the numbers to stand out, because that's really what you're looking for. So here, we'll export this page. We'll export these pages here. So this is just pages 4 through 5, and we'll save it as a spread. Here, I'll bring this over here real quick. Portfolio. Nope. We got lots of files called portfolio right now. It should really kind of have some consistency there. So this will be the title page spread, right? Alright, and we'll save that. And I can show you these details here. Alright, so we're going to save pages, what is it, 4 through 5, and we'll save it as a spread. And do we don't want crop marks or anything, so we'll keep it like that. Cool. Cool beans. All right, and then we will close this guy here. Don't save it because I messed up those numbers. And so now we can actually, in all reality, the title page comes before this. So we'll call this title page. Left page here, and we're back at it. So this is that spread that we just created. And we're dragging it in here, hopefully. Come on, if we pray to the Photoshop gods, please let the spread go into the document. With a cherry on top, maybe? Oh my goodness. I'm sorry guys, I don't know what's going on. My computer is always perfectly fine. It's just when I stream as it slows down. And I think it's partially because I got a second screen up, partially because I'm streaming, partially because InDesign is still open. Why is InDesign still open? Bet you it's not responding. Watch this. Yep. No, Photoshop's not responding. What the hell? Maybe if we kill off InDesign, Photoshop will want to work. I always feel like once we got force quit open, the program gets a little bit scared and it's like, nope, I'm just gonna stay not responding because I don't know. Oh my god, don't make me restart Photoshop, please. Everything was saved, right? We'll give it 30 seconds and then we'll have to make some decisions on if we're gonna kill it off or not. Anyways, this is a good time for me to advertise my blog, I guess. My blog that I don't really I'm gonna be updating it a lot more actually. I have a blog on my website, and I upload blogs to my website so that way I can kind of help the new designer, right? You know, this is like my first blog post here, right? Oh no, Photoshop's even gonna screw up here. We're gonna just, while we're restarting Photoshop, oh, it worked. I started talking about my blog and Photoshop decided to work. Anyways, I do have a blog on my website. Let me show that while I'm thinking of it. So this is my website, and I got a blog here. This is the newest blog, going over the design process basics, right? Part 1 is planning. So what do you do before you start a project, right? You do mind maps, you do research, you create a creative brief, and then you move on to your mood board and style boards. In the future parts of this, they're already written out. I just need to post them. We go over creating comps, using your mood board, and just overall the whole creative process. I forgot what the other... I wrote these so long ago, I forget what... It just really goes through the whole thing, right? Like printing, there's also a section about printing, and yeah, so it's awesome. I got a couple other blogs on here too. I have one about just like the 8 tips for new graphic design students, and then everything you need to know about critiques. And I think that these two here are really important to learn if you're thinking about going to graphic design school or are graphic design school already. Especially the critiques one. I think learning about how to go about critiques is very important, because a lot of people misunderstand the purpose of a critique, and they really expect it to be sort of like this praise for creating this amazing work, and they go into art school already thinking that they're a good graphic designer. People that go to art school, right? Most of the time, why is it being like that? Oh, that's why. Duh. Okay, sorry. I forgot that this was, I was confused on why the middle point wasn't right here, but it's because there's nothing on the other side of this S, because it's on a, again, white background. There was nothing there. So I'm thinking if I do this now like that, it should be good. So we'll save this guy here. And then on here, we can drag that guy in as well. Anyways, but what I was saying is I think a lot of people that start off in graphic design schools, they just expect, they already have some sort of sense of design, and they know that it's something that they really enjoy. And then when they create their first piece, and I'm not saying like this to be mean, I'm saying this from like personal experience, and I know a lot of people do this as well. But they just really expect like everyone just to praise their work. Why is this not centered? But really the point of a critique is to get feedback on your project, and I've said it before, but graphic designers really focus on the negative. Or actually, I said this in a blog. Graphic designers will focus on what's not working rather than what is working. There could be a lot of stuff working in your design, but in order to be productive, we focus more on what's not working, if that makes sense. I think I'm going to kind of tone down this highlight here for a little bit. Or maybe not. Where's the, why is there such a weird shadow there? Alright, anyway, so now we're going to just make a copy of that again first to use on the other pages. Hide it for now, and then we'll go through here and rasterize these layers. Alright, so we got our title page done, we got our copyright and dedication done. Now we're going to kind of work into some of the more exciting spreads, or at least I feel are more exciting. I feel like it's a good idea to add this layer here to an overlay layer, right? Oh, that's the wrong way to do it. Here, let's do this. Left page. What happened here? Alright, so now the end sheets are going to look the same as the rest of the book, which is what I wanted. Cool. And then we'll just put these into a group here within the overlays layer called end sheet color fix. Something that just makes sense, right? Doesn't have to be like the most precise term. It just has to make sense. Nope. And then you can see just the difference there with the overlays, right? Did we finish rasterizing these? Yes, we did. Alright, so our title page is all good. Next, we're going to do table of contents. Table of contents. Hopefully, I mean, the plan for me is to work until 10. I find myself just feeling bad about, like, not doing certain things. Ooh, I kind of like that as an overlay. I'm going to start doing that for all the pages, is setting them to multiply. Because really you need to do that, right? Because this is printed on like a special type of paper. And you will get the texture of the paper to come through on the actual book. On the printing. That's something a lot of people forget to do, and I'm like if there's like one thing that I'm particular about is when people do bad mock-ups. And I know there's like some things that I cheap out on also, but that might bother other people, but for the most part, I do a lot better job at mock-ups than the average person. A lot of people wouldn't take the time to set it to multiply. Some people might not even take the time to make it look this good. And I've seen a lot of the mock-ups that people use in my school. I will say, for the most part, people at my school do a great job. But there are a couple people that kind of slip through the cracks and they don't take the time to do all this stuff. And I can already tell I'm gonna have to go through here and fix this color overlay. I'm not liking it as it's in here. It definitely needs to be more gray. Just as comparison, this is what it looks like without all those that overlay. But still, the background still should be more gray, I think. I'll leave it like this for now, just so that way I can kind of see what it would look like without all that stuff. Plus, I think it might kind of help with load time as well. It's not the overlay I wanted to lock. I wanted to lock this overlay. So, but we'll figure it out. I mean, that's all the stuff that I can do at the end, and I think it makes a little bit more sense to do it at the end anyways than try to worry about it along this process. rasterize. If anyone's got any questions about this sort of... why did I do that? Did I do something wrong? Rasterize. That was weird. I think I hit the wrong button. If anyone's got any questions about this sort of process that I'm doing, feel free to let me know. That's sort of the reason I'm doing this series is to help out. Alright, so now we're just going to start doing numbers. So here I see a 14, so this is going to be page 14, and I think I did the number count wrong on this. Normally you want to start counting it after the table of contents. So that was a mistake on my part. I think it might make sense to kind of keep all this on a group, right? And then we can just have the group be to multiply. And we can just delete all this stuff as we go through. Kind of keep the file small. Yeah, we're on number 3 of 28. But we'll get there. It's going to take a while, but we'll figure it out. I'm just curious if that white... Okay, so the good thing about making this multiply is what I really needed to do anyways, is that white box doesn't come through. You don't really need to do that with other mock-ups or other books just because you don't normally have like this textured in the background, but since I'm using this texture in the background, it makes sense to have anything that was white on InDesign, because I didn't do the sort of texture when I actually printed it. This texture is to mimic the paper I printed it on, if anyone was kind of confused on that. And again, when I say that I'm the one that's finicky at the mock-ups, this texture really isn't going to be a huge noticeable difference, because most of these pages are going to be this sort of size in my book, pretty small, just to kind of get the overall flow. But I'm going to have a couple that are going to be big like this maybe. And if anyone's looking, I want them to be able to see small things like that. And I don't even know how well that's going to come out in printing this book. But hey, it makes me feel better. It wasn't a huge inconvenience to do that, so I don't mind. Oh, this book here was side stitched, whichever one they photographed for their mock-up. So there's a difference between perfect binding and side stitching. This one here you can tell is side stitched because you can see these holes every few inches or so, right? Perfect binding is just a bead of glue on the spine of the book. Side stitching is where they actually go through and they sew it through the side. And side stitching is actually probably, I think, the most durable method of binding a book. Oh, I released clipping mask, I think. Maybe not. Or disabled layer mask, that's what I did. Alright, so 14, 15's done. And another reason why I have the background on a different layer, so if I want to do this, I can have it be on a transparent background. And then this shadow here will be fine because it'll be on a white background on my book, so the background will be fine. But again, like keeping things in different layers to kind of be a little undestructive about it and a little bit more forgiving if I want to go back and change things later on. I wish there was an automatic way to have this just fill the page though. That's not what I want. So my running head should fall along this line here. And just because I got this a certain size, I'm just going to drag and drop this into the right hand side page. No, that's not what I wanted to do. We got another spread down. I'm just going to save kind of on every other one just to kind of save our work here. That's something that you don't do, is save your work. Save it. I've seen people forget to save their work and like the week before the finals due, and it's just not good. Because it's such a stupid mistake if you think about it. And I know some people don't really think to do it, and it's not like you're a stupid person or anything. It's just you need to really have that be part of your habit. Is hit and save, Control S all the time. I mean, I just do it all the time because it's something I've gotten so used to doing now. I do Control S like every 5 minutes. It's nuts. Didn't I just drag in the new layer? Where did it go? Where did it go? And if you notice here, I'll show you on this one here. This is another part of like sort of old style. If this is a look that you like, let me know. Because I could do a whole different video just showing you like tips and tricks to do like good old style. And if your school doesn't really teach all this stuff and then you come in doing all these things, people are going to be blown away by like just how much you know. So these things here, they're called pilcrows. This sort of like C looking thing. They don't always look like this. If you ever draw like a pilcrow is just pretty much a paragraph mark. And to prevent sort of like an illuminated manuscript to save space and just to sort of indicate a new paragraph, that's what you would use, is a pilcrow indicates a new paragraph. So that's something important to kind of look out for. Ugh. I need coffee or something. I'm out of coffee. I need to buy some more on Amazon. You get those Keurig pods, and Amazon is a lot cheaper than buying them at Walmart. Actually, buying them at Walmart is probably the same price. It's just I haven't. I don't like going to Walmart, so I don't know if they have the ones that I like. I don't know if I finished my thought from earlier. My brain kind of goes all over the place when I'm streaming. But what I was trying to say was, I'm going to do this until 10. Hopefully, if I don't get too bored. I need to kind of keep myself in check. But I want to do this until 10 so that way I can just have a certain stopping point. Because I always stay up super late and like I have a hard time telling myself to stop. So if I give myself a certain stopping point, then that kind of gives me like, oh, because like when you're working, right? You go to work and then you're off at 5. If you went to work and you didn't know when you were off, then it's like, I'm off when the work is done, and I got a lot of work to do, but I gotta spread it out over the course of a few days, so I can't be like killing myself here just trying to do this all in one night. Especially doing like a mock-up for a whole book in Photoshop. It's gonna take a while. So I'll probably get on and play some PUBG tonight later on. I'll probably get on later on and play some PUBG later on. You know, that's like one of those sentences that you would put into an essay to meet your page count. Or your either your page count or your word count. Later on, I plan on doing something later on. I will play some PUBG later on because it's later on. Like just repeating the same thought over and over again. I never did that, but that could totally be something people do. I know this chick's pretty creepy, huh? But my teacher wanted me to use authentic imagery, and this is like one of the few pictures that I could find from this era that was like decent quality. I wanted it to. I mean, this makes sense. Oh, I'm sorry. I really need coffee or something. It made sense for the concept. It's just not something that I thought was visually interesting. Alrighty, going on, doing some more work. So I know this whole process is really just you guys kind of just watching me do stuff. And that's kind of how it's going to be until I'm done with this portfolio project. I think for these Photoshop mockups, it gets kind of redundant. Or not redundant, repetitive. And it gets kind of boring. So I'm sorry about that, but and I like to be able to stream, and like if people come in, they got questions, at least they get to see what I'm doing. I'd rather stream and people be interested than not stream at all and somebody miss out on something. When I do like photography and I'm like editing the photography, that's a lot more exciting than just watching me kind of do the same thing over and over and over again. And watching Photoshop crap out on me, come on. It's the saving that kills it. And unfortunately, every time I update the smart layer, I gotta save it for it to work. Nope. What happened? Okay, that was weird. Did you see that thing shoot off the side of the screen? I don't know what that was. And actually, I can, I think it'll be good. Once I actually start designing all this stuff later on in InDesign, probably in the next stream, I will kind of show you what I'm doing, because I'm using a website called Blurb to print my book out, right? This website called Blurb. You can send them a PDF file, and if you set it up correctly, they'll print you out a book. And you can like choose what type of paper you want. You can choose the type of binding. You don't get a whole lot of choices. Actually, you don't really get a whole lot of choices over the binding as you do like cover, the type of paper, and the sort of like format of your book. But they do an 8.5, or they not an 8.5 by 11, but they do an 8 by 10 book. They call it one of their photo books. That makes sense for a photo book, is for it to be. This is really dark. I don't like that. How do I fix that? Why is it so dark? I mean, to be honest, it doesn't really bother me, but I'm really worried that someone's going to say something about it being really dark. I mean, it adds to kind of the photorealism, I guess, but did you ever want a photo that dark? Maybe just on this one page. I'll bump this up to 100%. No, that's not doing what I wanted it to do. Dang it. Oh my god. Okay, hold on. I don't know why my mask is still that big. It should be the same. That's not what I want. Hold on. I messed something up, didn't it? I don't know what the heck happened, but they got their files set up in a certain way that I'm not sure how. Okay, but what I want to do is I want to do this. I just want to add a small gradient over it. And I think this can be soft light. Oh, that's looking really ugly, isn't it? You know what? I think I just gotta bite the bullet and just leave it. It's not that bad on the other spreads. And if it becomes an issue later on, I'm just gonna have to figure it out at that point. Alright, so that is this one. No, I still gotta do the other spread. Did I drag it? Come on. There we go. I think it's 7, right? There we go. Oh, no, it is the right one. My bad. Okay, so, alright, then we're just gonna kind of keep on doing it. You're gonna rasterize that. Rasterize that. I think this is a good time to save this. I haven't done it for 1, 2, 3 spreads now. How are we doing over here on the Twitter sphere? Doing the same. Yeah. Alright, we're all saved up. Let's see. Come on, mouse. We're gonna do 24 to 25. Oh, that's 35. What the heck? 34. 24 to 25. Save. I think we're going on to number 8. Widow Ocha. Right? Ocho. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ocho. It's been a while since I took Spanish. Numero 8. No, come on, Photoshop. Do your thing. I feel like every once in a while it's got to catch up. It's just taking on too much. There we go. Actually, on this thread, we're actually getting into the main chunk of the content for the book. So if you haven't figured out by now, this is a cookbook. Hopefully you figure that out. So this cookbook, it features like, so this is like a very sort of like elaborate cookbook, right? This is like not your sort of, oh hey, let's make a cake tonight. This is like, oh hey, friend's got a wedding coming on. Let's see if I can make her a cake. And this is like a big old fancy cakes, fancy Victorian style cakes. Which is like, what? Never thought there was a thing as Victorian style cakes, but there is. I actually bought this is a real cookbook. These are all images from the real cookbook. And it's not as long as the original cookbook. I only needed to make a 60-page book, so I just did like the first 60 pages of the book. And, but what the main point of that is that, or what I was trying to get at was just what this book really is about, and the fact that it was created off of a real book, and this isn't just me BSing something, because it was really, that's initially what it was going to be. It was going to be me finding a concept, finding a sort of topic for the book, and then finding images, and that's sort of like how all my projects work, right? I come up with an idea, and I just find I did a project on like frightening flora, which I'm looking at a poster I got of it hanging up in my room, which was like about like all different types of scary flowers. And it was a conference for that, and I googled scary flowers, and then I googled scary flower conference or flower conference, and I just copied and pasted a whole bunch of text. And that's how the design process works for design school, or at least for mine. It's not, you're not writing this whole book, because that's really not what the project's about. The project is learning design basics. And learning how to design, not necessarily stressing out the student by telling them, oh hey, in addition to designing this whole book, you got to come up with what type of book you want to write. You got to come up with all the photography. You got to come up with all the content. That's just way too much stuff to do within a semester. Obviously, for real projects, you can't be just taking things off of Google and copying and pasting things, but For the point of a design project for school, it's not a big deal at all. Anyway, so what I did is I scanned in all these images, and the book did like 4-color process, so the really high resolution scans picked up all the different dots of the color. I mean, you can't really see here, but do you kind of see how like there's this sort of dot pattern kind of going on? That was because of the book. It wasn't a very high quality print job, so in order to kind of mask that a little bit, I did this sort of duotone thing with the book, which wouldn't have been my first choice, but you know, it worked with everything else. It doesn't look terrible, and it hid the fact that the pictures were just absolute crap. But I mean, that was sort of like the last resort. I couldn't find anything online that was remotely similar to what I wanted to do for this project. But in the end, it turned out really good. And then even more so on the computer, you can notice those imperfections. It actually just ended up turning out to be like a perfect, like the concept, the paper that I printed it on, those imperfections all ended up working out at the end because this paper had that sort of tooth to it, right? It's got sort of grainy texture to it that I'm kind of mimicking in the background with this. That really hid those imperfections as well. And when you see this thing printed, you don't notice anything's wrong with it at all. It looks great printed. I love this paper so much. I'm going to print out a lot of photography on this paper probably. This is the Red River Aurora White paper, I think. Aurora Natural White. It's like one of their fine art papers. Great paper. Anyways, but what I was trying to say was how this book is laid out, right? It's got different recipes in it, and I wouldn't even really kind of consider them recipes. It's more of like projects. It's not like, oh, this is important because of what's inside the cake. It's a cake decorating book, I guess. And then the first half of the book, this first chapter, it goes over like decorating techniques, which is like how to make a piping bag, how to use royal icing, and all very interesting stuff. This would never be something that I would do take on myself. This type of projects for cake. It's just way too much work. The important thing is, since I am having this layer be multiplied, is you need to make sure to hide the layers underneath it, otherwise it'll bleed through. Look at that. This spread arguably has some really bad hierarchy. I'm also not a huge fan that, I mean, this is just kind of looking back and seeing some design decisions that I would have fixed. The fact that one's bleeding into the gutter and one's not, and not my favorite spread. But I'm gonna kind of throw it in. Maybe I won't put it into the portfolio, or maybe I'll kind of have this be one of those spreads that kind of bleeds off the edge of the page on my portfolio, and maybe we cut off one side or something like that. But you know, hey, you live, you learn, you figure out new things along the way, right? This one here, I really kind of perfected this old style kind of idea, right? Old style sort of. Why are the pages all messed up? What happened to 14? So this is 20 and 21. And this is 18 and 19. Okay, I don't know how my count got messed up. 20 to 21. 18 to 19. 17 or 16 to 17. This is 14. Did I put the wrong page number on a page? Oh my goodness, probably. 14 to 15, right? So that's that one. Where else did I see 14? This is 12 to 13. Oh, I have the wrong page number on the introduction. Shoot. Did I Photoshop that out? So what is this? Well, this one's really 11 to... No, it's 10 to 11. 10 to 11. Let's see if I can do a quick stamp tool. Bring this up to 100%. There you go, like it never even happened. And there's nothing over... Is there? What is that? Thought it was a speck on my computer, but I guess it wasn't. That was weird. Okay. Well, we fixed the introduction. I don't know why that was a... I thought it was kind of odd. I didn't really think too much about it, but in the back of my head, I was like, why is page 14 so early on in this book? I didn't think that there were that many pages yet. Alright. So I guess we're even more behind than we thought. Alright, so we're at 2021. And now this is here is 22, 23. Now we're going to make a copy of that for the next layer. Go through here and we're going to rasterize all this stuff. Alright, and now we are moving on to the next spread. So we're 24, 25. I love these mock-ups. These mock-ups make this stuff so easy. Trying to photograph all this crap would have been a pain. And to get it like the right sort of angle and get consistent lighting for the whole book, that would have been a mess. I see a lot of people try to photograph these like holding the book open with their hands, and it's like, really? Like, think that's gonna look good? Somebody tried doing that this last class, and she knew that she was gonna have to redo it anyways, but just for the sake of checking that box and saying, hey, look, I'm working on it, she photographed it with some of these hands, and it just the teacher was like, yeah, I don't know who you're doing, Abby, whose hands these are, but they have too long of fingers. And it was the funniest thing, like, out of anything. Oh no, the fingers are too long. Forget about your composition and the lighting. No, fingers. Get somebody with some better fingers. She even said that. She's like, find somebody with short fingers, because whoever's finger these are, they're too long. No, that's not what I wanted. Not this one. But you know, those are like one of those things that you like hate to say out loud, but it's like, it makes a difference. Like, you can't help what people's fingers look like, but like when it comes to making your project look good, pick somebody's hands who look good too. Not that I would like say like having like the hands in the picture be like the first resort. I would actually say not do that, because I don't think that looks good personally. It actually depends. If you need to like hold the book open and like somebody's reading it, then yeah, put in somebody's hands in there. But if you're just trying to get like a flat shot like this, you don't need to do that. So, all right, so now we're just gonna... Is it getting annoying that I'm like repeating what I'm doing? I feel like I need to be saying something, otherwise that gets boring. But what I'm just doing is I see a couple new people are coming in, so I'm taking a book that I designed and I'm putting it into a Photoshop mock-up. And actually this brown here doesn't get as dark as that one blue did. I'll have to do some print testing. If it looks really bad on the blue, then I might just end up making that blue a little bit lighter before I rasterize the layer. I'll go back and add the blue again. But this is a chapter opener. So, alright, so now we're on to the 26, 27 range here. We're making our way through this book pretty quickly, actually. Like I was saying, like, you really got to get through those first couple pages, or that first sort of like initial setup, and then it's just easy. Like figuring out the shadows and everything. And luckily, since I already had this template adjusted to this book size, it wasn't a huge issue. Okay, here we go. This is the spread that was in the photo that I took. So when it comes time to like doing the white balance and everything, we'll use this spread to set it all up. This is actually one of my favorite spreads in the whole book. That's why I photographed it this one. I just feel like the movement and everything was on point. And the amount of content there was... Oh, God damn it, this one says 14 as well. Is this not the final file? How many of these spreads say 14? They better not all say 14. 15. 14, 15. Damn, this is before I updated the page numbers. Okay, so this is... How much of this is old? Alright, so we're going to have to figure that out. We're going to have to open up InDesign again. Ugh. Alright, so... Final. Gonna have to go through this. Why is this guy still open? Maybe that's a reason why Photoshop's been a little slow. Well, let's go into here. We'll save this guy here for a second. Until we get InDesign figured out. It's just a matter of... I think, luckily, it only said that there were 4 links missing. So if I can find those 4 links, then it's not going to be a huge issue. As I was actually worried there's a lot more that was missing. And I have all these files on me, so it's not like it's going to be a huge issue. So I need to get into the habit of, when I'm done with the project, package the file and save it somewhere, so that way I don't run into this issue later on, like when I want to use it for portfolio. And luckily I'm not using I mean, I had some cool projects when I first started the school, but luckily there wasn't anything that was like super amazing that I needed it in my portfolio, because I did not keep good track of files when I first started. My files were kind of all over the place. Well, sorry guys, I was really okay, so here we gotta update links. Yeah, my files were kind of all over the place. But yeah, I was trying to say, like, sorry for not having this ready. I thought for sure that this was like the right file that I needed, and I was all set. I didn't want to have to open up InDesign, because like when I'm in InDesign, I'm on a whole different flow than when I'm in Photoshop. When I'm in Photoshop, I like follow this flow, and especially with this type of work where it's just sort of like rinse and repeat. Like a very repetitive process. But okay. Why is it opening up so many files? So I didn't want to have to like go through and do all this, because this is going to take a while to I mean, when I say take a while to export, I mean maybe like 40 seconds or so, maybe a minute at the tops. But like normally when you export like a single page is just instant. When you have all these files here, it gets to be a little bit more. Are we good? I clicked updated links and it did it automatically, I guess. Okay. Well, let's go to that one spread and just see. Which spread was it? It was this spread. Page numbers are cool now. Alright, so let's export this guy. And we'll just see how long this takes to export. You can check by clicking this little bar up here. 3%. All right. Almost there. No, but it goes pretty quick. It gets kind of slow at the beginning, and then it's like, say it's doubling each time. Bet you it goes to 24 next. Bet you. We're at 12 now. 50. Damn. So close. There was this process. There was this pattern of where it was like 3, 6, 12, and I'm like, okay, it's gonna double again, but nope. So once this is all exported, finished exporting, then we'll kind of go back into our Photoshop sort of pattern. But I mean, if you guys are interested in kind of just looking at this, this is what the book looks like in InDesign. So this is actually how I design the book, right? The sort of process that I follow is I go into Photoshop, I create all the images that I need, and then I bring it all into InDesign to lay out. And that's sort of how everyone designs a book, right? So if you see here, this is what my grid looks like. I am using a baseline grid. Over here on the left-hand side of the page, you can see what I was talking about with the margin having a lot more room. And if you go on to some of these other pages, here you can see how I have the captions hanging out on the other side of the page. So I did a lot of research on how these types of books are made in this sort of grid, and I feel like I kept pretty true to sort of how these are historically done. So I was really happy with this project. Like I said, not my number one aesthetic, but for what it is, I think it turned out really cool. This is sort of be like a more kind of like a modern twist on like a Victorian traditional layout, right? Because you can tell it's older, right? But you can also tell that there's with the duotones, the sort of like background being cut up like this, and then like a lot of movement in the imagery. It's fun. It's sort of like a newer take on an old style. I think my favorite spread is either that one that I showed you that I took a picture of. The colophon and the table of contents are my favorite. Just because I think it all laid out really well. Here's the colophon, and then the table of contents is way up here. Table of contents is by far my favorite, I think. And this is what it looks like when an InDesign photo isn't all the way rendered. It does this for speed purposes. You can see, actually no you can't. Down here there's like a little loading bar. See, it just finished loading up. So, alright, well, we'll save. Actually, do I need to save this guy? I should save it. Oh, music paused there for a second. Alright, cool. Alright, well that wasn't as big as an inconvenience as I thought it was going to be. So, alright. And you know what? I actually need to go back and save this guy again. Because that one had the 14 on it still. So this will still be 24 to 25. Oh, 24 to 25. And it's just the left page I need to redo. Hey, we got a few people in, we're growing our audience. I don't know if it's the same people coming in and out, but we've had a few people come in and out and no one's saying hi. It's kind of a bummer. That's what I say in my tweet. Come by and say hi. Oh, we weren't too off. It said 14 and it's 24. I guess I could have done some Photoshop work, but you know, this is easier. Man, you guys all have such weird names. Dead like I mean or heart. Electrical skateboard, dude, you've been watching all my streams, so thank you. Same thing to a Thronezilla. You've been in here for most of them. Kate Ann, welcome. Gudio Donkey. It's an interesting name. Hi. Welcome to the stream. I've kind of gone through this a couple times already, but in case you weren't around for it, I created this design book, right? I created a cookbook, I think a little over a year ago, and I'm now in the point in my design career where I'm creating a portfolio. So I'm taking this book that I created and I'm just applying it to a Photoshop mockup. In the process, I'm battling Photoshop here. It's it's wanting to be kind of slow, but it's okay. We're working with it. It's something we're working on together. But I've done a couple shots where I actually photographed this book. And earlier in the stream, what I was doing was I was trying to match the mock-up to the photograph that I actually took. So making sure that the backgrounds were the same, making sure that sort of like the page color and the white balance were all the same. So that's something that we'll probably go back and tweak a little bit later on, just because I ended up not really liking how I had it set up initially in my photograph. But for this sort of style, these will just be kind of laid out in my portfolio book. So I'm actually creating like a hardcover book for my design portfolio, and also a website. And I'm actually kind of making sure that these are like pixel perfect for that way. In that case, I have like one spread per spread in my portfolio book. So that way, because this will be like if I print this out as a full spread, this might be 7 inches tall, 6 inches tall, maybe like 10 inches wide, printed out. So you want it to look good, but also on the website, it's going to look a lot. People are going to be able to zoom in when it's on a website, so you want it to be good. Alright, so that one's good. Did I rent? I didn't do that yet, so I'm going to rasterize all these layers. Otherwise, if I don't rasterize these layers, then when I go through and I update the layers for the next set of pages, it's going to do it for all of them. And then you do all this work, and then you realize that you got the same spread in 30 different groups. And you wasted the last couple hours of work of time. So this is just a very repetitive process, but you know, it'll pay off at the end, and I'll have 30 spreads of a cookbook designed and mocked up, and I'll be able to just drop that into my portfolio book, and it'll be good. I would much rather take the time to do this than try to figure it out and photograph all this stuff, because photographs take a lot more time to edit than a mock-up does. Trust me. Because I'm doing photographs, and I spent like a good solid hour or two working on just one photograph. Not for this book, but for another project I spent forever. It was the last project that I was working on my stream. No, it looks great, thank you. I was saying too that this isn't like typically like my go-to aesthetic. I really like the newer stuff, sans serif, but there is something to this. It's very kind of beautiful with like the traditional sort of design feel. So it's like the 21st century grandma cookbook, I guess, because there was like, I try to make this not so like boring and traditional, and I do that a lot with how the images are laid out. Oh my goodness, we were doing so good, but now Photoshop is just deciding to be slow. Come on. As soon as we got people in here watching, decides to get stage fright. Guido, I think that's how you say it. Guido Donkey, how's it going? Doing good. Thank you for stopping on by. Now, we were on such a roll, too. Maybe it's something where if you don't look at it, then it'll do its thing. It's like water. Oh no, I'm looking at it over here too. I'm looking at it once over here, but over here I'm looking at it twice. I got once on the OBS preview and I got once on Twitch. Oh my god. There's no escaping. Did we save this? I think we did. Alright, so that's the left-hand side page. So, here, let me get this right-hand side page brought in, and then I'll show everyone that's just joined in what the actual picture looks like. So you can kind of see the difference between a picture and what the mock-up version looks like. Granted, they're from different angles, so there's obviously going to be a huge difference at that front, but still. And I have all these PDFs set to multiply, so that way you can kind of see this paper texture in the background that I brought in. I printed this on like a fine art paper. And I'm sorry if I'm like repeating myself and if you've already heard all this, but I'm trying to make all this make sense to everyone. But I'm multiplying it so that way you can see this paper texture through it, because that's the type of paper I printed it on. I printed it on like a rougher paper. What is going on with this guy? Got a runaway line of pixels. Yeah, I bet you guys didn't even see that, did you? Huh. I mean, I got a 27-inch screen in front of me, and you guys don't. Well, probably do, but not for Twitch, unless it's full screen. Even then, it's probably not as good of a quality. Oh my goodness, come on, smart objects. Why are you being so slow? Alright, it's almost done. There we go. Cool. Alright, so this is what the mock-up looks like, right? It's on a somewhat sort of like tan grayish background right now. This is what the mock-up looks like. So pretty good quality for a mock-up, actually. This is probably one of the better mock-ups that I've been able to find, and it's great quality. I can zoom in this far before it starts to get pixelated, and that's great. I mean, like, even with the fact that for most of the pages, this is as big as this book is going to be. I might have like 10 or so of these spreads on a single spread in my portfolio, if that makes sense, if you're following along, hopefully. So this is what the mock-up looks like, and this is what the photograph looks like that I took. So, kind of similar in color, and that's what I was hoping to achieve. Some of the things that we're going to go through and do in the mock-up later on is you can see here on the edge of the pages, there are different colors, right? So you can see the end sheets, and then just the pages that came before this page, you can see the colors of those as well, since they were full bleed. So that's something that's like my own personal thing that I like to do. Everyone that I've talked to says this doesn't matter, but I'm going to go through here on my mock-up, and I'm going to drop in tiny little slivers of other pages here just to make it look a little bit more realistic. And that's just something that I personally like to do. It's not a huge issue. It's probably not going to be a big deal at the long run, but it's one of those small little details that makes me feel a little bit better about my work. And I mean, hey, everyone's weird about their own things. That's something I just happen to be weird about. I think it's because I got into that sort of that flow because I did that with the end pages on the other book. But for that book, it made sense because I printed the title on the edges of the pages. So I needed to have it there. Otherwise, it would have looked weird. That's like one of the main features of the book. And if it didn't shine through in the mock-ups, then that would have just been a huge opportunity lost. Alright, cool. So we made it. We're here at 26 and 27. We're duplicating this guy here. Gonna minimize that. Rasterize all these layers here. I wonder how many times I've said that this stream right now. Somebody counts. Goes back and watch the recording of this and count how many times I said rasterize these layers here. Let's see, I've done that for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. At least 9 times I've said that. Alright, okay. It's been a long day. Been designing at work all day, and then I come here and do it again. We're almost to 10 o'clock, so that's good. So, okay, so we got the cookbook here, dragging in our PDF. Alright, then which one do we need? I think we're kind of down here towards this area. If it'll load. Why aren't you loading? Alright, 15. So remember that. Next time we're going to do 16. We can just grab it before they all load. Save ourselves a few seconds there. And if you're wondering why this smart layer here has got this huge gap at the bottom, is because when I got this mockup file, the book was, I forget what the exact size was, but it was a little bit taller than I needed it to be. So I did all the changes in the actual Photoshop, like the main file, and I shortened the book, and I got everything perfect. That actually took a long time to figure that out, just because there were so many layers attached with that initial layer. Meaning, like, there was like a highlight layer, there was a shadow layer, there was the paper layer, and all those things I needed to change. And it wasn't just as simple as like making it shorter and making it like bringing the top and the bottom in, because there was like a warp to it, so I needed to use the envelope distort tool, and that just took forever. But I didn't want to have to spend the time to try and figure out the smart layers and how to change the size for that, so I just left it. It's fine. I gave myself like a little guide here, so that way I know the bottom of the page goes to the guide, and it just sort of makes sense in my head, and I guess that's all that really matters, is as long as it works. So here, 15, saving ourselves some time. You see that there? We just saved ourselves like 3 seconds. You know, 3 seconds adds up. There are 30 spreads in here, 60 pages. 60 times 3. That's 180 seconds that we saved. It's a whole 3 minutes, right? Imagine what I can do with an extra 3 minutes during the day. I can afford to let the coffee get cold, so that way I can go microwave it. You know? Oh my goodness, is it bad that I want coffee? It's what, 9:30 at night? I don't need coffee. I actually did that at like finals this last semester, as I was running behind on everything, and I needed to stay up. I had a lot of stuff to do. I had some package design projects to work on. I had a video to create. I had to create a sleeve for a type book that I created, and I think I didn't start animating my video at all until like 4 a.m. and it was nuts, because I decided to do all the package design stuff first, because I had like 10 boxes I needed to cut out with a blade, comp them up and everything. Decided to do that first because I figured it probably wouldn't be the best idea to save the stuff that involved an X-Acto knife for the end of the night. So I tried to get all that stuff out of the way before I got too tired, and it was the first time actually that I pulled an all-nighter. Started doing all this design work, and I didn't finish all my stuff until like 7:30 a.m. and then I had class. I had to leave for class at 9:30, so it was a rough night. Hey, but that's college. It's best time of your life, right? Staying up, sleep deprived, stressed, spending money on a whole bunch of crap like this. That was actually the biggest shock that I had, was when I joined art school. It's like, the first they tell you, hey, the first thing you gotta do, buy a laptop. Luckily I already had a laptop. I kind of prepared for that. But then they said, oh, you need your own printer. I thought that was weird. Why do I need my own printer? Aren't there gonna be printers at the school? Nope. Graphic design school has nothing. We have one computer for the classroom, and this is like the highest rated graphic design school in the area. And don't get me wrong, I've gotten a great education from this place, but the amount of supplies they offer the graphic design students is nothing. Nope, why am I doing that? Alright, so what did I say? We're on 16 now. But yeah, okay, so if you're thinking about going to graphic design school, prepare yourself for these expenses. Don't be as naive as me and think that you can email your homework every week. Nope. Unless you're taking it online, then you can. I thought, oh, graphic design, I'll be able to email everything, because I just did stuff for esports, right? I just created YouTube backgrounds and things like that. Why is this? No, don't save. What's the deal with this guy? Okay. You guys didn't catch that, but the running head was a lot lower than it was supposed to be, so I'm going to check to see if it was just the file or if I accidentally dropped it too low. If I just dropped it too low, then I'm going to just drag it up in Photoshop, but if it's something else, I just want to know. It'll tell me how I need to approach this. Okay, so we just did this guy here. So, exquisite embellishments. If you look at the top left. Alright, so this is what I do. I put a little post-it note on the screen. So that way I can see where that baseline goes. And then let's go to another spread. It is in the exact same spot. So that just means that I did something wrong. Right? Same spot? Yep, same spot. Okay. Try that again. I don't know what I did. See? That's what you learn after doing design for so long. You learn the small things like that. Let's try that again. Still not sure why it's doing that. Oh, you know what? I wonder if, because I did re-render this out, I wonder if I ended up moving the those things down lower for the whole book. If so, that means that the first couple of spreads that I created are wrong. Let's save this guy here and we'll see what happens. Okay, so that means our running head on the mock-up falls right about there. So let's see what this looks like compared to like an earlier spread. Yep, it moved. Damn. Okay. Damn, that sucks. So at what point did we start moving those? Or did we start changing things around? This is most of our work too. This sucks. It was this page here. So I think everything before this one I gotta redo that. Damn! That's a bummer. Okay. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm not gonna do that right now in front of you guys. Let me write myself a note. You know, I had a gut instinct too that I needed to re-render it out for some reason, and I didn't listen to it. So what is that? Spreads 22 through pages 22 through 10. Come on, really? Oh my god. Alright, well, hey, I'm happy I caught that on before putting into my book and then noticing that, like, either, like, right after I printed it or, like, years down the road after I got this printed. And in all reality, really, this isn't something you would even really notice. But, hey, I'm getting paid to be a perfectionist, so it needs to be perfection. Hey, alright, not the end of the world. So let's see, can I make some of these colors? These ones here I gotta redo. Okay, well, we'll just keep on working through with this new PDF, and then well, I'll just go back and do those later on. I don't want you guys to sit here and watch me redo everything. What spread are we on now? I don't even know. I think I'm on this one, 16. So Katie, I don't know if you're still in the chat, but do you do any graphic design? Oh, cool. Graphic design student. Hey, me too. I'm in my last semester. This portfolio is for my my schoolwork. So this is a typography book that I created in a typography 3 class. So my third year at the school, I created this book, which was just a year and a half ago. So last fall. Not fall of 2017, but I think it was fall of 2016 I created this. So I guess that's not technically last fall. Full Sail University, where's that at? Is that like an online? No, let's see. It's got a campus somewhere. Campus, directions. Not trying to be a creeper. I'm just trying to figure out where the school's at. Oh, it's only all the way across the country. Florida. Oh, Florida, but you're an online student. Okay, cool. I've only been to Florida once, and that was for Disney World. You know, typical touristy thing, right? Well, that's cool. I've been actually go to my school on site, but I did take a lot of classes online there just to kind of reduce the amount of days I commute. But I go to school in San Francisco. So are you like pretty close to being done with your program, or are you just kind of starting out? Oh, I don't know why this doesn't drag in every single time. Hopefully this process isn't too repetitive. At least you guys kind of get to see what the book looks like, which is pretty exciting. Oh, hopefully I didn't just open that. I did. Oh no, it's gonna slow down everything. Hold on. I've been having problems with my Adobe Acrobat. I think I need to delete it and then reinstall it because for some reason every single time I try to hit print something, it just freezes. So I had to print with a preview, which I don't like doing just because there's not too many options. Finished the end of 2019. Okay, that's cool. So you're not that far away then. I think you're, yeah, just 2 years away, so you're kind of halfway through your program probably. Well, it's a lot of fun. I mean, I don't know exactly how your school does things, but I'm pretty sure it's probably similar to how most schools do graphic design. But I've had a blast doing my program. I'm going to miss it. There's something scary about, like, oh, what do you do after college? Because it's not like you know what the next step is, right? You're in high school and you know, if you're going to college, you know what the next step is, right? You go to college, you do 4 years of that or longer, and then you got time to figure something else out. But like being a month and a half away from, wait, 2.5 months away from graduating, it's kind of like, oh my god, what are you gonna do? But you know, I'm excited about it. Being able to do some real world projects will be fun. So these things here, these are just, they could be considered page breaks, which is just to kind of break up the sort of repetitive flow of a book. And all the page breaks work well together. They all are similar, same colors, same sort of, not really grungy, but sort of like vintage, aged effect. So what's your, Katie, what's your favorite aspect of design so far? I'm sure you've kind of gotten a little bit of experience kind of doing a lot of different things so far. Is anything kind of sticking out more than the other? Like, do you like doing app design, web design, print design? Have you done any packaging? I actually like packaging. Packaging is my favorite. I've always had a lot of fun doing packaging. I've also had a lot of fun doing like print work, like designing layouts like this. This is fun to me. Anything that you end with something, right? Like an app. Okay, yeah, the app is kind of fun. Apps and websites require a lot of maintenance, which isn't something that I like. Plus, the thing with apps and websites is it changes depending on the content that you put in. Especially websites. Websites, you can have a beautiful template, and then when you give it to somebody, they can throw in a whole bunch of stuff and change it a lot from what you want. I like being able to just design something and then that's it. Like, that's what you do for package design, right? Package design, you design something and it's done. Print work, if you design a magazine, it's done. And maybe that's the reason why I like it so much. Did I save it already? I did. Also, having like a physical object is something that I really like. Having I think the two things that I get the most out of in design is having like a physical object to kind of hold and touch, which is like package design, and books too. Having like a physical book is really cool. But then also something that you can share with the world, right? Package design, I think is my favorite, because you can like be walking down the grocery store, down a Walmart or something, and then you see something that you designed up on the shelf, and that's just really cool, I think. Being able to see other people buy something that you designed, or hey, even seeing something that you designed on the street or in the trash. So I haven't really been keeping. Oh, this is the second. This is the second recipe in the book, or second set of instructions, I guess would be a better way to put it. My teacher was really confused at first, because at the end of the book she's like, I just realized this, like, this is a really beautiful book, but why do you have all these like vintage, like, I don't know what this would be called, but like this little chest here. She's like, why do you have all this stuff? Why don't you just show the cakes? I'm like, those are the cakes. This is like very elaborate cake design. She's like, oh okay. And you kind of see that through the other spreads too. When you read through the chapters, you kind of see how all that stuff is created. I think once we get past the point where we've done more in the right template than the other, then I'll feel happy. I didn't do anything. Didn't change the number, I changed the opacity. There we go. The water's over here now. Right? Thank you for noticing that. That was the whole point, was for it to have like a modern and a vintage feel at the same time. Yeah, like all these things are cakes. I think in the next spread or two, maybe it'll show how this one. Maybe there's a different one that showed how it was made. Let's see. Yeah, but I mean, that was kind of the whole goal, is for it to be like a modern book. Like here, this shows how it's made. They had some sort of a stamp to kind of get that flower on the edge. You can see this person was cutting out sections of the cake. than all this stuff here. It's just really cool to kind of see how all these things were made. Okay, where's the mouse? No, no. Hold on, we got a runaway mouse. The mouse isn't working for some reason. Are we still live? Hopefully it's hopefully it's not a huge deal. Let's see if we can unplug real quick. Which one's the mouse? Gonna work? There we go. There we go. That was weird. Normally I have issues with the keyboard not lighting up, but I've never had an issue with the mouse doing that before. But anyways, yeah, what I was trying to say was the whole point of this was for it to have like that vintage and modern feel, because just doing something that's got the vintage feel, it's like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. We've seen that before, but how do you take that and then push it to the next level? And this is speaking from like how, sort of like what I've learned as a student, is knowing what teachers are going to expect and knowing what really makes up a piece of design look good and really stand out from the crowd is making it your own. And of course having like a reason why you do something, right? You don't want to just design something for the sake of it being designed or for the sake of having some sort of visual style. So part of me as a designer thinks that this book is kind of very repetitive with how the type is laid out, but that's the nature of cookbooks, right? The cookbooks have to have that same sort of layout so you know where to find everything on each page. So unlike, I mean, if you go back and watch some of my older streams, or if you come watch another one sometime in the future, I'll probably pick up or finish it up again. But I had some other books that don't really kind of follow the same format. Each spread's different, and those are the ones that I have fun doing, where you treat each spread like it's its own piece of art. Dude, just having mockups makes your work look so cool. I mean, I've been using mockups for a few years now, and I just get amazed every single time you drop something into a mockup. I always say, like, if you're ever doing something for like a client and you want your work to look really good, or if you really just want to like cut down on revisions, or just really sell your client on the one design more than the other, throw it on a mockup. It really kind of changes the way that you think about a design. When you see something like this, it looks like it's ready to be edited or changed in some way. But when you throw it into a mock-up, it looks like it's done. It looks like it's been photographed. It looks like this is the final thing. So you're less likely to think, oh, maybe we should change something. So save yourself some time. Invest in a mock-up. All these ones here I got for free. I've one of the freelance projects I did, I created a trade show background, and the client was already sold on the design from the flat design, but I threw it in a mock-up anyways, and the mock-up was only like $5, and that even sold them even more. So yeah, rule of thumb: use mockups. They're cool. I love mockups. I don't know what more to say beside that. And they're easy. There's really no reason why you shouldn't be using a mockup. And if everyone ever gets mad at you or says, "Hey, why are you using a mockup? You should actually try and push yourself and photograph this thing." Well, I mean, unless you're like a really good photographer, you're not going to get this sort of straight-on shot as crisp and clean as it is in a mock-up as you would in like a photo format. So at the end of the day, it's all really about presenting your work in the best way possible. And if using a mock-up is the thing to do that, then by all means do that. Don't try and push yourself to take a nice photograph if you're not good at photography. Because at the end of the day, it's just going to make your design look bad and make you look bad, because your portfolio is only as good as your weakest project. Right? That's something to think about. But we are here. Actually, I'm going to do one more spread, and then we're going to be wrapping up here shortly. So if you guys like this and you guys want to see some more from this, and I'm actually documenting my whole portfolio process. So if you guys want to see me continue doing my portfolio, please make sure you follow, so that way you kind of get notifications when I go live. And also, it just helps me out, makes me know that I'm doing a good job with all these, and you guys are liking what I'm doing. Plus, I'm trying to. I don't. I said this once before in another stream. I don't know what affiliate does, like that status does, like the affiliate status for Twitch. But I think it sounds cool, and I get this notification every day. You're close to getting your affiliate status. So I need to get 50 followers to do that. So I don't really know what that means. Maybe I get some emoticons or something like that, or like a little verified sticker, which would be cool. So that's kind of something I'm kind of working towards. I get the stream hours down all the time, so that's good. I think just kind of streaming, because I stream, I think 3 or 4, like roughly 3 times a week, because I'm just kind of streaming this process. So yeah, follow if you liked it. You can also follow me on Twitter. I announced that I'm streaming on Twitter. And I'm losing my train of thought. Okay, hold on. So I think that was the other one. Awesome, thanks for the follow. That was weird, my let's see, my Streamlabs thing didn't pop up. Maybe I need to fix it. Normally it pops up with like a little notification, someone followed, which I think is fun. But thanks for stopping by. See, I think we were on 21, maybe? Yeah, we were on 21. So yeah, I think we're gonna kind of cut it off here. We'll save this final layer and then we'll call it a night. Release for design. I'm gonna go play some PUBG. Gotta reward myself for all this hard work, right? 42, 43. Alright, that's where we're gonna pick up off. I'm probably not gonna stream that. This kind of get the get the gif of how all this works. Rasterized layer. Alright, so we got that. We made some progress. We're gonna have to rework our first couple steps here, but that's alright. It's not the end of the world. Anyways, yeah, thanks for stopping by here. Let's switch screens here. Alright, cool. Alright, thanks again for stopping by. Like I said, make sure to follow me on Twitch. And then you can get the notifications whenever I go live if you guys want to continue watching me do these portfolio kind of follow-alongs. Like I said, once I get more into the sort of photography work of things, that's gonna be a lot more fun. Editing photographs, I think, is cool because you kind of get to see what the photograph looks like when you take it compared to the final shot. Because I think a lot of people think that the final shots are always like, that's just comes straight off the camera, but there's a lot of editing that goes into photography that I think will kind of make people feel a little bit better about themselves and their photography ability. Anyways, yeah, thanks again for stopping by, and I'll see you guys on the next stream.